And because I didn't give enough to myself, when everything was starting to get taken away from me, or those seasons in life were over, the Marine Corps is over. Now I don't know what to do because I don't have to I don't have to put my uniform and do PT in the morning, and I don't got to do this. And I'm like, oh, this is my identity. It's been taken from me.
Welcome to the Vet Rise Podcast. I'm your host, Juan Perez. My goal is to make success after service accessible to every veteran in society. I believe in the power of leveraging your service, not as a label that defines you, but as a launching pad for your next chapter. What we have been doing has not been working, and it's on us to start changing the culture. Enjoy the episode, and thank you for your time. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Vet Rise Podcast. This is going to be a freaking good one. I actually have a good friend of mine who became a friend just because I feel this connection with him based on the fact that our stories are very similar. Now, I don't want to take away any of his fire because I want him to be able to tell his story, but I met Steven a while back. I've been on his podcast a couple of times, and I've actually been wanting to get him on this podcast for a while. So without further ado, Steven, do me a favor, just introduce yourself real quick, and we're going to dive into some deep, vulnerable stuff, my man, please.
Thank you. What's going on, everybody? It's me, Stevie G, but I go by Steven Gonzalez as well. Usually the only people who call me Stevie G is anybody who knows me from the podcast. But a little bit about me, I'm a 32-year-old male, prior United States Marine Corps veteran, living out here in Virginia, Jersey, born and raised. I'm a father, amongst other things. I give myself a million hats because I'm constantly doing things. However, that's just a bit about me. We're going to break into it. But I'll say first and foremost, JP, thank you. I appreciate you having me on here. Your content motivates me. Even the funny thing is I feel like I started right before you came out here, and I'm watching you flourish, and I'm like, man, look how the tables turn. This guy's really the one pushing me to get back on top of my game. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on.
For sure, man. And we push each other, brother. Trust me. I see the things you're doing. I see you posting. I see you like reviving the podcast, and I want to see amazing things for you too, because I feel like we're both on a very similar path, and we're going through some very similar stuff, right? So I think that says a lot about what happens when we get out and the journey that we're on, right? Because everybody goes through it just differently. But yeah, I'd love to hear. I guess we can kind of start off just talking about your experience getting out of the military. What was it like for you? What do you think maybe you did well, and what could have gone a little bit differently? Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, so I will give a breakdown as I got into the transition phase. So I was in the Marine Corps 11 years. Originally, I was a radio operator by trade, so 0621 for any my comm bubbas that are listening to this. You guys know what's going on. And then obviously, as you move up through the ranks, your rank changes as you reach staff sergeant. So I got out as a 0629. Amongst other MOSs that I had, the McMatic instructors, the force fitness instructors, you name it, recruiting. Picked up a bunch of MOSs, but however, I was a communicator by trade. Spent some time with artillery, security forces, and recruiting. So I'm no door kicking, war saving machine. However, I did my time in the Marine Corps. So fast forward to my transition. My transition did not go how I wanted it to go. It was also an unexpected transition. On recruiting duty, for anybody who's listening, you know exactly how it is on recruiting duty. If you served, it's the best and worst time of your life. You're going to give a lot to the Marine Corps. So as I used to recruit people, I used to let them know, like, hey, the Marine Corps is going to take from you. Make sure you take back from what you need, meaning the benefits and so on and so forth. I definitely gave a lot of myself in those last 3 years on recruiting duty. Giving myself and losing myself as well, because I put in so much time and effort, and because I was never home. It affected my marriage. It affected my physical fitness, my mental health. It affected me as a brand new father. My son was born in 2020. I was on recruiting duty from 2019 to 2022. So I'm trying to figure out how to be a dad, figure out how to be a Marine recruiter, keep my my marriage together at the same time. And nothing was working out for me. Although for the most part, it was a successful time on recruiting. It was not the best time on recruiting. So this is not going to be a whole recruiting episode. But from there, my transition, I was put in a position where not everything was going my way. My marriage was really rocky. To give a little insight, right? My marriage was falling apart. Simple as that. Me and my wife were not connected. We're becoming roommates at this point. there's no lovey-dovey. Even if there is, it's very it's seasonal. And then by then, I make a lot of bad decisions due to my drinking problems, my drinking habits at the time. uh, we try to do the therapy route. We try to do everything, at least that I thought we can do to make it happen. So I'm in a position where, hey, it's time to stay in or get out. At this point in time, I have orders to California. I remember my wife telling me, hey, if you go to Cali, I'm not coming with you. Like, we're not going to Camp Pendleton. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me hit up the monitor because I kind of know some people. Right. I ended up getting my orders changed like within a week. Hey, you're going to Second Tracks in Camp Lejeune. And I was like, oh, cool. We're staying on the East Coast because I'm already in Virginia. I tell her the great news, and she's like, nah, I don't think I'm coming with you. And that was like the biggest red flag. I was like, okay, well, not only are we going through serious things, but she might not be coming with me at all, which means that this marriage might not be a thing at all. So without going into the details of what happened as I got out, I'll say I had to make a decision. And the decision was, do I fight for my career or do I fight for my family? At this point in time, my son's probably almost 2 years old, and I have to make that decision. Like, okay, what do I do now? And I chose to get out. I was kind of put in a position to be forced out because of that. And then I put all my eggs in a basket of transitioning after that. Like, hey, what can I do? What am I good at? Because when you're in the military, whatever your MOS is, most of us think like, oh, I'm going to do something like that. I mean, if you're infantry, a lot of people think they're going to go work security or be a police officer or FBI, which is great. I know for us communication guys, like, oh, well, I'm going to go work at air traffic control or work for like one of these big DoD companies and fix radios and build radios for the Marine Corps, which is a great opportunity, but not everyone's getting it when they get out. Right. So I was in a position where I had to learn how to transition, and it was scary. It's growing up all over again. Whether you're getting out at 4 years or 40 years, you have to figure it out all over again. Because you get institutionalized in the military. Most of the time, it's a one-track mind thinking like, hey, you should stay in because if you do your 20, you'll be set for life. But they implement certain programs to set you up on the outside. And they're great programs. I could go on all the acronyms of what they help you with. But I tell you right now, that's not everything you need. You need more. You need to network. They're going to tell you to fix your LinkedIn and get your resume set up. You need that plus more. You need to constantly be talking to people. And then it's a soul-searching event. Where what do I want to do moving forward? Because I forgot the statistic, but it was like the average veteran gets out and then within the first year switches his job maybe 2 to 3 times. I'm fortunate enough. Right. I'm fortunate enough that I didn't have to switch my job because I actually enjoy what I do right now. I'm in recruiting, but in a whole nother capacity. I actually work for a defense manufacturing training program funded and founded by the United States Navy. So, no, I'm not a government worker, but the people who pay my bills is the Navy. So that's very ironic that I'm still hanging around a bunch of Marines and sailors after all this is over. But I love what I do. And, could I see myself doing it for a long time? Yes. But the average person doesn't get that opportunity. I was fortunate enough that I met the right people. I did a lot of networking. I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of interviewing. I remember I was like maybe 30 days from getting out. And I was like, oh, man, I'm in the middle of selling one house and I'm about to close on another house. And if I don't have a job, I can't pay for this new house. Yeah. And in a nutshell, it was very scary. I remember like hustling and bustling. I did a couple of interviews for like car dealerships. I was like, oh, if I could sell someone to join the Marines, I could sell a car like clockwork. This is too easy. I talked to a couple of veterans that worked there. He was like retired Master Chief. He was like, bro, you in the Marines, this is too easy. We can make money. We're selling cars. That's it. That's all we're doing. And I thought about it. They gave me the job offer on site. I came in a suit and tie. These guys are in polos and like khakis. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm overdressed. Do I want to be that tacky car salesman? And I was like, no. Don't get me wrong. I got a couple good friends who make really good money selling cars. So I'm not knocking anybody out there selling cars. Good for you. But it just is not what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I feel like many veterans get put in a position where they got to do some things they don't want to do. And because you got to provide, you got to make ends meet. And now that you're not getting paid on the 1st and 15th by Uncle Sam, you got to take care of yourself and your family or whatever you have. So that transition was hard, brother. I would say, I don't know if you were going to ask me this, but I would say some tips for anybody who's transitioning. Share away. It's quite simple. Like the lessons learned was, don't put your eggs in one basket. Like if you have a friend or family member who's like, hey brother, when you're getting out, just shoot me your resume, guaranteed job with me. It's going down. Because I tell you right now, I love all my friends and family who try to help me out. But I was put in a position where I'm good. I'm not even out yet. And I already got something lined up. And I thought I was good until, 30, 40 days. I was like, hey, heads up, that job is no longer available for you. Don't even count on it. I was like, oh, so, if I don't figure this out, I'm going to be flipping burgers at Burger King. So let's figure this out now. So definitely don't put your eggs in one basket. Network. Call everyone that you know, friends, family, people who work in high places, low places, people you served with who already got out, see what they're doing. Ask them for the tips and tricks of how they transitioned, whether it was a 4-year guy or a 40-year guy in the military. They have some insight that you don't. The last piece of some advice for transitioning is stop taking advice from the people who never got out. The E8 to E9s, yeah, they're very successful in the military. Most of them don't have any success outside of the military as of yet, but it's your turn to go do that. So if anything, they should be asking you the questions in about a year or two when they're getting out of how you did it. Because I've gotten those phone calls. Hey, brother, like, you got out on some pretty crazy terms and your life was really shaky, but I see you doing great things now. How did you do it? And, it's definitely with the hand of God. That's for sure. Like, I feel like I had a lot of luck involved with a lot of faith involved, but it's got to be hard work on your end. You can't just expect to go, just like when you went to the recruiting station to sign the paperwork and you just had to pass an ASVAB and pass a physical fitness test and you was good. No, it's not like that no more. You got to go above and beyond for yourself, because otherwise you're going to be stuck in a career you don't like. Sorry, I was on a rant.
That's perfect, man. I actually feel like there's two things about you that are very unique. From the moment I met you till right now, I still see it. So I feel like there's two unique things about you that are very different from the regular veteran when they get out. Number one, and I want to ask you how you were able to get here, right? So number one, in my opinion, is you didn't have that chip on your shoulder. Or maybe you did, but I want to ask you, was there something specific that you were able to do to drop that ego, to ask questions, to put yourself out there, to realize that you don't know everything, to like not have that ego? Because I'll tell you, for me, that was a hard one. I had a huge ego. I felt like I went to combat. I led a sniper team. I should be able to get this or that job. And it didn't work out like that for me, right? So I had this huge chip on my shoulder, which was very detrimental for me. So I feel like maybe that's something that you didn't deal with the same way, or you were able to manage right off the bat. And number two, dude, you have very, very high likability. Like, you're very personable. You know how to have conversations. You're easy to talk to. And a lot of veterans don't have that skill. They can definitely work on it, but I feel like that likability factor, that you have personability, you have character, you can make people laugh. I feel like that is undervalued in veterans. So I just want to ask you, those are the two things that I'm noticing and I've noticed about you that I feel definitely played a part in your success. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. So I'm going to go back to that. But to go back is, yes, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was really good at hiding it. I coped with a lot of alcohol to completely like try to numb it. I was really upset about the Marine Corps. I was really upset that my time was over, because for the last 11 years before I got out, it's all I knew. You
were going to be a lifer, right?
Yeah, 100%. I was ready to go. Just keep signing contracts. Let's do this. I was all about the Marines. I was all about fitness. I was all about taking care of each other and really helping others strive. And as I got out, I was like, well, whatever I do, I just want to make sure that I can help others strive. And I think I could find a sense of purpose there. But it was hard at the beginning. Drowning myself with alcohol didn't help. Going through what I was going through with my soon-to-be ex-wife now, it was just a lot to take in, to the point where I suffered from depression, and I suffered from anxiety and imposter syndrome, you name it. Now I call it battling, because I had to learn how to work through those things. But it took a while, because I remember, like, I would drive past a recruiting station and I would get triggered. I would go to a base, and I work on base all the time. Like, I go to bases all around the United States. And when I go, it's good to be around the tribe, the community again. However, there's some soft spots there when people ask you, like, hey, man, you did 11 years. Why didn't you keep going? It's like, all right, here we go. You're going to trigger me. Let me not do this right now. Luckily, I've been able to cope with that and go through that. I think the things that really helped me was learning how to forgive myself, finding different avenues of approach that could really help me process what I went through, what's going to happen, and to realize that, hey, that time in service is over. You talk about it all the time. Like, hey, you did great things. You kicked down doors, whatever you did, but that time is over. And now you have to have this new identity. You can't just only say I'm a United States Marine and that's it every day,
Yeah.
because I think those people are the ones who are the most salty of them all. They're like, they don't want to talk about things, and they have a one-track mind, and they refuse to go see the doctor, and they have all these other conspiracies. But I would say what got me through was, knowing that I have to provide for my son, because at the point I loved my family, and now I just, my family's my son, and I had to love myself. Because all the time in the Marines, I love the Marines. I love the Marines. I love the Marines. And I gave everything to the Marines. And then I became a husband and a family man. And I loved my family and I loved my son and I gave everything to them.
Yeah.
But there was a huge part of me that didn't give enough to myself. And because I didn't give enough to myself, when everything was starting to get taken away from me, or those seasons in life were over, the Marine Corps is over. Now I don't know what to do, because I don't have to I don't have to put my uniform and do PT in the morning, and I don't got to do this. And I'm like, oh, this is my identity. It's been taken from me. Yeah. Now, fast forward to, going through this divorce currently. It's like, okay, well, now I did everything for my wife and everything for my son and for my family. Now I don't have that. Now it's just my son. So it's like, that put me through another piece where I'm going through everything all at once. Like, who am I? Should I forgive myself for my faults? When do I forgive myself? How do I get through this? There was a lot of emotions involved, but I would say, like, how did I not become the salty veteran who's just pissed off at everybody and walking with his veteran hat, asking people to thank him for his service? I mean, It involved therapy, and it involved meditation, it involved reading and self-help and working out, picking up jujitsu. I love jujitsu, bro. When we first started talking, like, I had no idea I knew jujitsu, but I wasn't going. And then at one point I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try this. And it was just supposed to be a trial. Like, hey, I'm going to do this for like a month or two. Yeah. And now I'm hooked on this stuff. And it does a lot more than just physical fitness for me, because it's a community of veterans, of police officers, of just regular Joes who all go to get strangled and put themselves in uncomfortable scenarios. And the reason why I love it the most is my life and most people's lives, we go through nonstop uncomfortable scenarios, whether it's self-inflicted or not. And you have to learn how to get out of it. And 90% of the time, I tell people that 90% of the time, like, if you see my videos, I don't post the videos of me getting choked out all the time. But I promise 90% of the time, I'm getting choked out, and I'm humble enough to know, like, hey, if you're not winning, you're learning. Yeah, you lost. Yeah, you got choked out, but you're going to learn how to get through that for when the next time you encounter that same scenario, you're going to be good. And it's the exact same thing right now with I'm going with life. I've been through many crappy times in my life. I've been through, heartbreak. I went through anything that made me feel like I was down in the dumps, to the point where I know what it is for anyone who's listening, I know what it is to feel like maybe I should just end it all. Maybe I don't belong here. I don't want to do this no more. I think everybody's going to be good without me. I know what that feels like, and to want to go through with it. Thank God I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. I learned how to cope with a lot of things. But me and you both have friends and buddies that we served with who are not here because they went through similar things and they didn't know how to go through it, and they didn't know how to cope through it because the tools weren't there. And it's crazy because a lot of veterans, sometimes we don't stick together when we get out. But realistically, when we were in, we all joined for some similar reasons, like patriotism, or to get out of home, to get a job. And all of us maybe came from a rough background. Some of us came from money. But at the end of the day, we were all a family. Then when we get out, we barely talk to each other, but we're going through the exact same things. Joe Schmo down the street who I serve with is going through a divorce and about to lose his house and hey, me too, brother. Hey, let's talk about it. And I think being able to be open about it, be positive about it, being able to talk about it is what helped me continuously get through what I got to go through on the day-to-day basis.
Man, so many things I want to talk about and address. You hit the nail on the head, brother. You're right. We go through these things and we forget that everybody's going through this. Not every day is the best day ever. And that's something that people ask me about, because I wake up in the morning and I jump in my ice barrel and I tell myself today's the best day ever. And it's not always like that. Yesterday was a hard day for me. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. And it was a dark day for me. And I'll tell you what, like the thing that I did, the one thing that I could do was just put one foot in front of the other. I showed up and I did a coaching call with my clients, but I'm not gonna lie to you, it happens, right? Today is a better day. And I think that just like you said, like we get out and we forget. I think that we forget all the positive things that we learn from the military, and we kind of go back into the negative stuff, the using alcohol to cope. not wanting to be called out of about stuff. So therefore we don't talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, it ain't real. No one can call us out on it. But I think you're absolutely right on the fact that you got to lean in to the discomfort. You gotta lean into the fact that, like, if you're not happy with where you're at, you gotta do something about it. And you're doing something about it, right? So I mean, you could have easily like told yourself, like, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to be a lifer, and that fell apart. I was supposed to be a father with with my child, and be in this marriage for forever, because this was my marriage, and that fell apart. And you and I have had similar conversations about this, because I went through this last year. And I think the thing that helped me, and I'm coming up to the question that I want to ask you, but like the thing that helped me was realizing that, like, failure isn't final, and that if you can learn anything from it, and you can take it away, you can take away a lesson from it. A lot of lessons, like the next thing that you do, can be just as big, if not bigger, than the thing that did not work out for you, right? So I guess the question that I have for you is, like, what is your approach to, like, you go through a chapter and then it ends not on the note that you wanted it to? How do you keep writing the next chapter? How do you lean into it? Like, right, what's your mindset about that? Because I feel like that's something that a lot of people can benefit from learning about you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I would say, for the moment, as it happens, when that chapter is coming to a sour, salty ending,
Mhm.
it's hard to okay, well, we're gonna close this one out and open up this next one, and we're gonna keep it going. It's hard to get to that point because there's a lot of emotions involved, and that whether it's whether it was my career, whether it was my marriage, whether it was anything that I'm going through financially, like, I'm going through it all, man, and I'm here
Yeah.
with a smile. I'm going through it all, and
Yeah.
and when I hit those encounters, I'm like, oh man, well, the next step's gonna be better. The next chapter is gonna be better. It can't get worse than this. It's gonna get better. But with that, it's like, how do I get out of the dumps, and how do I get out of the feels about it? Because it's really hard. And like you said, I was waking up for a couple months not on time for work. I work remotely. Hopefully my boss doesn't hear this, but yeah, I wasn't waking up on time. I was like, I'll just open up my laptop and I get to it. I wasn't motivated to get to I'll get to the gym later. It's all good. I don't feel like doing this right now. And it's easy to go down that rabbit hole and keep those habits, and when realistically, those habits are the things that make you feel best.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just being able to process your feelings, being able to forgive yourself, forgive other people, because you can't live in a hate. Like, I can tell you right now, Sergeant Major Smuckatelli, I hate your guts. No, I don't hate your guts. It is what it is. Things happen,
Yeah.
Karma comes back around, though. That's all. Let that be known. But it's like getting past that and really processing those feelings to know that, hey, your past is not what makes you. Your encounters is what makes you, because all these hard times, and whether good times or bad times, if you took them all away, then you have no identity at all. But if you left them there, and those hard times is really what laid the foundation of who you are now, then I'll take that every day. And it took me a while to understand that. Like, the best thing I got out of my relationship with my soon-to-be ex-wife is my son. My son is his name is Angel, and he's literally an angel for the most part. But what I say is, like, I'm happy that I got him out of that.
Yeah.
Maybe me and her need to be on different paths. Maybe me and the Marine Corps, it wasn't meant to be for me to be a lifer. I have other things that I could be accomplishing now. It took me a while to understand that, because the first couple months, the first year, the first 2 years, as everything's happening, I'm like, this is not supposed to be me. This is not what's supposed to happen. And I was supposed to be this, and this. But everything that you plan in yourself is not going to go according to plan. I mean, in the military, you have plan A, plan B, plan C, how many different SOPs, and we go on and on. I don't remember a lot of these things, because as time goes by, they all go away. But what I'm saying is, like, nothing you want is going to go as planned. So the sooner you can accept that and just move positively with your next step forward.
Yeah.
So, for example, now, I got to figure out what's best for my son, what's best for me, what's best moving forward, living situations and all this other stuff. But if I sat there and I sit in my bed every day and I'm just like, oh, well, life sucks. I don't want, my job sucks. I should have been in the Marines, and my wife left and now I'm a nobody. No. That's not what it is. Yeah, take the time to go ahead and let those feelings sink in. You want to cry about it, cry about it. You want to go seek therapy, you want to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. I recommend you talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Because right now, if it wasn't for my close friends and family members that I could call on at any point in time, I don't know where I would be at mentally. I don't know if I'll be doing anything with the podcast. I don't know if I'll be doing anything, period, because it's hard to get out of that slump by yourself. Although you got to pull yourself out all by yourself sometimes, it's hard to do it if you don't have the community. You know, you have the vet rise community. It's a tribe. It's a community. That's one of the, like, whoever's a part of your crew, they're all benefiting from that. When I go to jiu-jitsu, I benefit from that because not only did I get my ass beat, but on the back end, we're sitting there talking about life, about what's going on. Like, hey man, what's going on? I see you feeling like this today. Hey man, I'm going through it. And you can have those have those conversations and help process through that. So you could start the next chapter. But when you start the next chapter, you have to remember to do it the right way. Learn from those mistakes. If you start the next chapter of your life, but you continue to do the same BS that you were doing before, and you're expecting different results, that's called insanity. So
I'm a firm believer that like the gym alone is not therapy. The gym is therapeutic. Like, you still have to do the work. You have to have those conversations, and all of it is therapeutic. But I feel like your PMA, your positive mental attitude, is just freaking, it's intoxicating, man. And I love it. And I want to ask you, like, specifically, how do you let go of the shame, right? And I'm asking you this because I feel like it's something that I dealt with, right? And I'm sure a lot of people are listening deal with it, right? And I'll give you an example for the fact that you were able to find people that could be in your corner, right? Your friends, your close family. Like, how do you let go of the shame of, like, this is who I was supposed to be? People come to me for help. People see me a certain way. And how do I let go of this shame to be willing to, like, ask for help and ask people to be there for me and let them see me in the light of, like, I failed at this, but I want more? Like, how do you let go of that shame, brother?
Man.
Yeah, no. It just came
hard. Yeah, no, it was a hard one. I mean, I shamed myself a lot on the daily. It was part of the reason why I got out of shape. It's part of the reason why I just went down this deep, dark valley of life. And I shamed myself. I felt terrible because when I looked in the mirror, I was disgusted with who I saw. I was, I'll be transparent. I'll be vulnerable. I know what it is to be a cheater. I know what it is to completely mess up your marriage because of bad decisions in life. And it sucks, man, because, like, when you wake up, your goal wasn't to mess up everything you have, but you make bad decisions because whatever circumstances you're going in life, my drinking didn't help out with any of my decision making. If anything, it hindered everything. But the ability to understand that that's not you, the ability to understand that, hey, those are the past decisions, and that doesn't make me. Because for right now, you can ask Max, hey, who's Steve? What do you think about him? And she's probably gonna say some terrible things based off my past decisions. And I understand that. I'm not here to get a get out of jail free card. What I did was wrong. But you cannot wake up the next day and be like, okay, this is what I did. This is who I was. This chapter's over. I can't let that change the now. My now and what I do now is how I'm getting through it all, letting go of the shame, letting it go, understanding and giving yourself some grace that, yeah, these are the losses that you have. You lost your family. You lost your house. You lost this, whatever you're losing. You fill in the blank. You lost it. But on the flip side, remember the wins. Yeah. As I'm going through hard times in the last couple of years, I have a lot of wins. I completed my, less than 2 years of getting out the Marines, completed my bachelor's degree. I already started my master's degree. These are all small wins, big wins. No one in my family my direct immediate family has a college degree. For me, big win. For some people, small win. Either way, you have to give yourself grace for the big wins, the little wins, the big losses and the small losses, and understand that that's not just you. Yeah. But those losses and those wins is what makes you. Man. But to go back to shame, man, it's really swallowing that pill. Really looking to God. Well, I'm not here to push everybody on your Savior, Lord in Christ, Jesus Christ, right? But
I think a higher power is definitely needed. I think that, I mean, I like your shirt. It says, does that say faith over fear?
Yes, it does.
Yep, I had a feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, I always believed in God. However, in the last year is when I really started honing in and realizing that, there is a higher power and everything I'm going through is for a reason, and I'm not alone doing it. And, the big man upstairs never puts you in a scenario that you can't handle if he doesn't want you to go through those things. He wants you to go through those things so you could learn and so you can become a better person on the flip side.
Yeah.
And that's the way, honestly, I'm just praying every day, like, okay, well, you're giving me some hard ones, God. You're giving me some hard ones. Yeah. I'm ready for it. I'm going to buckle up. I'm going to put my boots on, bootstraps and all. Let's do it. However, this is not going to be easy. And as long as I'm waking up with that mindset, like, hey, eventually this will get better. Eventually this will be over. You know, my past is the past, but my now and my future is going to be a lot better if I follow it this way. So I would say, yeah, just swallowing that pill, realizing like, hey, forgive yourself, what you did, what happened, what you lost. If it's your fault, not your fault, doesn't matter. Let it go because it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
You can't go back. So, yeah.
I like that. No, I appreciate you saying all that. I'm a very firm believer that adversity, when it happens, like it's when you're about to level up. Like this past year has tested me in so many ways. Right before I was about to quit my job, TikTok banned me for a month. And now that I just quit my job, this whole TikTok thing that was about to happen, thankfully it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer that like when adversity comes your way, it's because you're ready for it. It's because I don't think that we bite off more than we can chew. I think that when we are ready to take on the next challenge, like we will put ourselves in the room with something that challenges us. I think that when we are ready to level up, when we're ready to take on something a little bit bigger or larger than we think we're capable of, somehow, some way, it's going to land in our lap. Maybe it's God putting us there for us. Maybe it's the choices we make. Maybe it's the fact that you are operating at a higher frequency, so therefore people see you differently and they come to you with different opportunities. But I really believe that stepping out of your comfort zone, sometimes it's by choice and sometimes it's because that's the next step. That's the next thing you got to do to get to that next level. So I want to ask you, what is the next thing for you? What are you challenging yourself on? What is the next thing you're working towards that you're excited about? Because honestly, man, like your attitude, your PMA, your positive mental attitude, it's more freaking positive than mine, right? And I love that because sometimes, I'll tell you right now, like I'm actively working. One of the things that I'm actively working on is reducing the negativity in my life. But that also means that I'm actively working on bringing more positivity into my life. So I'll tell you right now, like I want you to be more active in my life. I want to take a more active life, more active role in friendship with you because I like what you're doing. But, to me, that just means you're actively myself working on bringing good things into my life. So like, what are you working towards that you're excited about that you just share with us? All right, let's stop for a minute. This is the part of the episode where I ask you to do me a favor. But it's not a favor for me. It's a favor for your fellow brothers and sisters that served with you. If you know someone that has been struggling, if you know someone that has been going through it right now, and you know that they want better for their life, they just don't know how to do it, please share this episode with them. It might just be exactly what they need. That's it. That's my only ask. If you want to subscribe, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Back to the episode.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. So, I mean, I've always had goals, even through all these, these hardships that I'm going through. And I always still planned like, hey, this didn't happen the way I wanted, but I'm still going to plan to make something happen and whatever those goals are. So I still have my goals. So my short term, my midterm, my long term, we could talk about it all day. But right now, big things that I want to get really into is I just hopped back on the podcast. Over the last year, I threw a couple episodes out, little reels here and there, but I wasn't really invested because I was going through so much. And as I was putting content out, as I was recording, even during the time frame where we were recording, I was in such a bad place mentally that I felt like a fraud for a little bit as I'm putting all this stuff out there. I'm like, man, I'm going through it more than anybody that I know. Like, who am I to tell people to keep it up and keep grinding and keep doing what you need to do? I'm over here in the slums. But it hurt. But I realized that I can't let that stop me. So yeah, I'm back on the podcast. We just released an episode this couple weeks ago. I got to get one out soon. I'm trying to get back to the fluency of it. Just like I know, it's hard to be consistent. But right now you're killing it. Yeah, I went on YouTube earlier and I was like, how many episodes he got out right now? And I was like, man,
88.
Yeah, I know. That's like more than double what I got right now. And you've been doing it less than me. So I was like, man, that's motivation for me to really step it up. And I think the idea was, you know what? Yeah. I always bring people onto my podcast. Resilience on the Rocks is a show about people who go through it, adversity, good times, bad times, rock bottom, relationships, drug addict, you name it. I got everybody on there. And everyone has this great story of how they overcame and they bounced back, or they're getting ready to bounce back. They're in the slums right now and they're about to bounce back. But I'll tell you right now, that not one episode where I sat on the show and said, "Hey, this is me." You probably know more on this episode. Anybody listening, you know more about the host of Resilience on the Rocks right now than if you went to go listen to the show right now. And it's because, I was afraid. I wasn't vulnerable to the point where I wanted to put everything out there. And now at this point, cat's out the bag, man. Like, I cannot be ashamed of my past. Like, I can only be happy that what happened, and now moving forward, everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
So podcast is one, go tune in, check us out on TikTok and Instagram, all that stuff. Resilience on the Rocks. Appreciate the plug. But after that, I mean, I talked about jiu-jitsu. My goal right now is to be consistent with that. I earned my blue belt in less than 2 years, which is,
nice.
It's like 10% of people who start jiu-jitsu don't even make it to blue belt because they quit. Boom.
Yep.
So I already beat the statistic there. Cool. I'm going to keep going there. That's goal. I did some competitions. I don't have a goal of becoming top competitor in the world because that's a life that is very, it's very stressful. It's a lot of hard work. So whoever does it, good for you. But I just want to do a couple of competitions here and there just to test myself and put myself against people I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, obviously, I'm in my master's program. I have goals to eventually. I love my job. I love the position I'm in. But the biggest thing that I wanted leaving the military was like, I want to give people a sense of purpose. In my job, I give veterans, civilians, you name it, I give anybody an opportunity to learn a trade so they can help build ships and submarines for the United States Navy. It's a great opportunity. I give people a sense of purpose, especially if they were a veteran. They're like, oh man, so now I don't got to serve for Uncle Sam, but I'm working for Uncle Sam, kind of. And they feel that sense of purpose. So I feel great when I'm helping a veteran like that. I feel great when someone's 18, 19 years old and they tell me, I could join the military because, I got XYZ wrong with my medical. But this gives me an opportunity to help build ships and submarines for the Navy. I'm like, well, look at that. You have a sense of purpose. And by me helping people strive and thrive, it felt good. But I feel like there's more out there. And I was just talking to, I was just talking to my girlfriend about this recently. I feel like there's another purpose. Like, I feel like the podcast is definitely something, but I'm not even sure if the podcast is what God's calling for me is to go do it. I don't know. I feel like I want to be in a position where I could really speak to more people. With the podcast, I will have an opportunity to do that, but I feel like I don't know it yet, but I know there's something coming where there's going to be an opportunity where I'm going to be able to really, I guess, use that positive mental attitude and let it sink to others. And I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to figure it out soon. Well, that's the real goals right now.
We'll definitely talk offline. But I'll tell you this right now. I don't mind sharing this because I've already talked about this. But as a matter of fact, let's just do it live. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. So in August, we're going to be having our very first in-person event for all of our clients. You've been a client before. You understand kind of what I'm building. Honestly, dude, it has grown into this behemoth of a thing that, I mean, I have people that have signed with me for 2 years. And it's been beautiful. I'm doing it full time now. I left my job in November. I resigned in November to do this full time, and it's just been growing. So one of the things that I know that I wanted to do was we're going to do our very first in-person event in August. It's going to be, for everybody listening, if you guys want to attend, you have to join the academy first. You have to be a client. But I would love to see if we could find a way to get you come out and speak at the event as one of the public speakers, because I feel like your story is powerful, and I'd love to put you on stage and just have you share with everyone a little bit about what you're doing. Because I feel like not only would they benefit from hearing, but I mean, we could do a rolling session with everybody. We could do a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah,
and I would love to roll with you. So we'll talk more about it later on. But this is officially an invitation that I'd love to have you out as a speaker. We're coming up with our list of speakers. We're coming up with the list of events that we're going to be doing. But just let that simmer for a little bit, and we can definitely talk more about it offline. I'd love to get you there to be a speaker for everybody.
I appreciate that, man. And then going back, yeah, honestly, and I'm not just here trying to be an advocate just for your program, but honestly, the program was awesome. I left. I told you why I left. It was financial situations that had to do with, the situation I was going through.
For sure.
But it definitely, there was many times like, man, like, I'll tell you right now, the workout program, I was like, I don't got that no more. What do I do? I gotta get back to my grind. The communication with the group chats and stuff like that, I missed that. And it, obviously when I stopped paying for the program, I'm out of the program. And I was like, man, it was like a week, I think, before you pulled me out. I was like, man, I missed that. Like it was cool to have
We
that
could talk. We
community
can
of
make it happen
people.
for you in a different
Yeah,
capacity.
yeah. And as time goes by, who knows? Maybe I need to get back in there because
Hey, we're ready
what
for you.
what you're doing for everybody, veteran or not veteran, doesn't matter. What you're doing for people in general is helping them realign their life, build a foundation, get back on track with discipline, reach their goals, and obviously physical fitness. But it's way more than physical fitness. I remember that, like, as I was
It's the
going through
foundation.
everything, as everything I was going through, I remember just like listening to whether it was you or one of the other guys in the group, just hearing that, I was like, okay, well, other people are going through crap too. Like it's okay. Like it was like I wasn't kind of like sitting in a circle, like AA or something. Like, hey, I got issues too, and it made me feel good. It was like, okay, well, there's a community of people, and if you're listening, find that community. Whether it's with Coach JP, whether it's whatever, I don't care. Plug in the blank. Go play basketball at the rec center. Do something. You got to find your people, and that's what's gonna get you through. And find like-minded people who have those goals. Yeah, but I appreciate it. I definitely want to give me an opportunity to speak. I'll do it, bro. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll make it happen. So we got the podcast going again. You're launching more episodes. Are you willing to talk about kind of why you stopped doing it and kind of why you told yourself that you wanted to fire it back up again?
Yeah, I mean it's simple. I stopped. It hit me hard. I probably stopped right before I found, my wife left me. So what happened was, just to give a quick spiel, I'm doing everything in my power. We're doing counseling. I'm going above and beyond. One thing that I want to throw out there is I had an idea that, obviously we could talk about love languages and which one's what, but I thought that, okay, well, I'm going to give all my heart and I'm going to give all my emotions and all my attention. I'm also going to give all my money. I want to make sure that whatever this woman wants, she got it. And I kept giving and giving and giving. And even if it was at my expense, just giving and giving and giving. And I'm saying this because you cannot make somebody love you. You can't pay to make them love you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do. Like, I can make the conscious decision of loving someone. No matter what I do, good or bad, that person has an option to love me. And because I was in my mindset, I was like, I remember I'm an overthinker. I think about everything, and I'm going to ask you, hey, are we good? Hey, are we still friends? Like, whatever the case may be, I'm going to ask. And I used to ask every day, hey, do you still love me? Do you love me? Because I love you. And to the point where anything I would ask her, I could tell it was like irritating her. She's like, why are you saying this again? Why are you saying that? I just wanted affirmation of, if anything I was doing was working.
Words of affirmation, huh?
Yeah, but that's mine. That's one of them.
That's mine. Mine too, man.
And I just want to hear it. Are we good? We're good? We're not good. If we're not good, how can we work on it? And, it came to the point where the words were given to me. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're the best. Things are getting better. Da, da, da. And then it just took one event, and she was gone. Just left. Never came back. And, we're working out co-parenting, thank God. But yeah, that was it. And because of that, I was like, man, not only did my life fall apart because I lost my career and I started a new one and I have to figure out life all over again. Not only did I accumulate a lot of debt and buy this big, amazing house that was for a family, and now it's just me, my son, and my brother. There's no reason for me to be in this big old house. I don't need a $500,000 house right now, but I have one. And I have this great, huge mortgage that I could just be living in an apartment or rent a house or buy another. I could do all these other things instead of spending this money. And I realized that I was just putting myself financially in a burden, mentally in a burden, emotionally in a burden. I was just down. Because of that, I was like, you know what? I can't do the podcast. I can't even press the record button. I remember there was days, and this is when I was still drinking hard. I picked up drinking again, and I was just recording drunk and just letting the camera have it. And none of those episodes will ever get released. But I tell you what, it was a great therapeutic session for me. Yeah, journaling. I recently went back and I pressed play, and I was like, oh, damn, I was in my feels.
I've done that a few times differently, but it's helped me look back. I record videos when I'm at my darkest and my lowest for myself, and I watch them back. I also screenshot moments that I want to remember. I screenshotted my bank account back in October where I was negative $5, and I remember the feeling like I never want to be here again, and it was all because of my decisions and the divorce. And it was scary. It was scary because like 2 months later, I'm supposed to quit my job, right? And I remember like I let that light my fire to be like, I never want to be here again. So I need to do things. I need to take steps to make sure that this never happens again.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
spot on, dude. I never want to go through in any shape or form or capacity, emotionally, with a marriage, financially. I never want to go through this again. So once I'm out of this little rut that I'm going through, we're taking notes. We live and we learn, and we're not doing this again. I'm not doing it again. I can't. It's just, it took a lot out of me, and I don't know if I can keep doing it. I'm a resilient motherfucker, but we're not doing this again.
I feel you on that. I feel you.
But yeah, you had just asked me. I wanted to caveat on something.
We were talking about why you stopped doing it. You were drinking and doing the episodes.
Yeah.
And
so the drinking, when I started with you, I really honed in on my drinking, but I was still drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling you, like, hey, bro, I still drink. And then, bad eating habits, bad anything habits, habits that were tamed and now taken care of. Now I don't drink like that, but because I was drinking that so much, I couldn't get through it, and I couldn't move forward with what I wanted to do. So I stopped. I felt like a fraud. I didn't do any of the podcasts anymore. And what helped me really say, hey, it's time again, was I had a few individuals who just randomly hit me up. They could have been close friends or people like, hey, you stopped with the podcast. I looked to see if there was any more episodes, and you haven't posted anything. What's up with that? I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it right now. Why? I gave them a little insight, and I was like, yeah. They're like, bro, you're Stevie G. You're Resilience on the Rocks. You talk about all the hard times and how it gives you the grit, and you got to keep going. This is everything that you needed to happen to you in your life so you could get back on the podcast. Like my close buddy Dave told me, he's like, if not now, then when? Because nothing else could go wrong. This is the time for you to get those stories out there. This is the time for you to really get the wheels turning, because it's going to help you mentally as you go through. You're going to help other people. And he really got to me. Speaking to people, like, just do it, just a recording. And then I had I put out a small episode, and then I had a buddy hit me up, was like, hey, what are you doing right now? I'm like, nothing. He goes, we're recording. And I was like, oh, let's go, podcast time. And it felt good to get back on the horse, and I want to keep it going. I just got to really find the drive to, like, find more guests and find more content just to be consistent. And I'll get to it. But that's really why, like, once I started doing it, once I started putting more reels where I'm really just speaking on my emotions or hot topics that I feel like people can agree with, and I started getting that traction on TikTok or Instagram, like, people actually commenting. Before, I get a couple likes, but now I'm like getting people commenting like, oh man, I needed to hear this. I'm going through this too. How did you do this? I'm like, wow, okay.
Words of
now
affirmation.
We got traction. Yep. And I think that gave me the fire to say, okay,
good.
We need to keep doing this for a little while, see where it goes. I don't have aspirations to become a Joe Rogan, but it'd be cool to get some more traction out there,
I think that it's a power. It's a power to be vulnerable. I think that when you do that, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and to share the story, number one, your story is someone else's survival guide, but number two, it also allows people to share with you. It allows people to see you in a different light, because people see you as Stevie G. People see you as this individual that has the answers to shit. Because, dude, you are a resilient motherfucker, and you've been through so much. I think people look at you and they're like, damn, that's that guy with the positive mental attitude all the time, always positive. And I mean, it happens to me too, right? But at the end of the day, when you can share, when you can show that you go through it too, and this is the things that you do, these are the things that help you, it gives people the opportunity to see you in a different light of like, damn, okay, he goes through it too. This is what's helping him. This is what I can do. And it allows people to want to open up to you as well. That's something that I've experienced since I've been more open on my socials and my videos and the stuff that I talk about too.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I needed that. It was definitely a missing piece. I think it ties into trying to be tough and be the tough guys. Like, I don't want to let nobody know what I'm going through. I was afraid to say anything about a lot of people just thought, hey, he chose to get out the Marines. Boom. Hey, nobody knew I was going through a divorce. Nobody knows anything until they, oh, are you okay? Because we noticed this and this and that. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going through it. But meanwhile, they see the Stevie G on the podcast. They see the Stevie G on the video. So I'm like, haha, talking all this trash and well, it's good stuff. But I'm talking and no one knows. Like, dude, I'm totally going through it. I'm totally going through it. Now I'm doing a lot better. But JP. The last year, 2024 was a motherfucker, bro. Yeah. And I'm positive that this is going to be a good year. I'm positive that God's bringing great things. But 2024 was one for the books, bro. Yeah. Never again.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think that I think we have to sit in it. I think we have to like understand that we won't take the lesson if we don't sit in it, if we don't understand like the mistakes that we made, the things that we contributed, the things that were our fault, right?
Oh man, yes.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I had to work on too. I think for the past 2 years, I've been in this stage of my life where I'm building this vet rise thing, but I'm also like going through the most freaking. I was put in handcuffs 3 times, and that's something that I haven't like publicly talked about. I've talked to my close friends about it, but the police were called on me. People that I worked with, right? They were called on me, and I was put in handcuffs for lies. And thankfully I had video that showed the opposite. But I mean, it was very much. I could have easily been taken in and been arrested, and it would have affected her and my kids and my job.
Affected everything, yeah.
Everything. Thankfully, it didn't get to that point, but I was in a dark place, right? And it's so easy for us to tell ourselves like, well, I'm supposed to be this tough guy. I'm supposed to have all the answers, but we don't. Nobody does. And I think like going through it, and I think that doing the work is how we get to that next chapter, is how we get to 2025, and how 2025 will be the best, year ever. But you gotta acknowledge the lessons that you take away from the last year and everything you've been through, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is reflecting the good and the bad, right? Like I think a lot of times as people, it's easy to be like, I did this and I tried my best and I did this. But until you take a moment to be like, okay, well, what did I did wrong? What could I have done better? What did I didn't do or didn't see because I wasn't aware? And I look back and, there's faults on both sides of my relationship. There's faults on both sides of what happened with me getting out. But I'll say this, at least on my marriage side, if I knew certain things, I would have tried to do them a little bit differently. If I could go back and make better decisions, I would have made those better decisions. But there's some things that you don't really understand until it's done. And you're like looking back hindsight, like, wow, I didn't notice this. I didn't realize this.
Yeah.
Yes, we both have our issues, but I wish I could have been there in this capacity because they probably would have needed it. Who knows what would have happened? But at the end of the day, it's like, if you can't reflect the wrongs or what you could have done better, then you're not getting the full progression with it. Like you need to understand, like, well, I tried and I did this and I'm going to do this the next time. Yeah. But I messed this up and I won't do that again the next time around. And it's whatever you're doing. Like, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I look back and I'm like, there's a lot of messed up things I've done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of messed up things she's done. I'm not pointing fingers, but I just wish that, that person could also look in the mirror and be like, oh man, this person tried to do this. It didn't work out. They completely fucked this up. But hey, like overall, there was good intention for the most part. And just really accepting that. That was a hard one for me. It's like, whoa, it's all your fault. No. I take full accountability for my actions or what I did on any situation, right? So I think if you can do that, then you're good.
I think my perspective has changed a lot throughout the years in the things that are my fault, the things that I contributed to. Yeah, I own them and I've made changes. But I think also the way that I've looked at the counterpart of like the other side of the relationship, the other things that were done to me, I've also tried to own that by understanding that I didn't have proper boundaries. I possibly, and this is me individually, right? Like I didn't have proper boundaries. I allowed things to happen that shouldn't have happened. I think that when you know what you don't want in a partner, it kind of tells you what you do want, what you are looking for, sets the standard for whatever's next. And I'm not out here looking for a partner right now, but I'll tell you right now, I know exactly what I don't want in a partner.
Yeah.
Which just helps you much more become the person that you want to be. I think it's about who we are becoming, not who we're trying to be for someone else. So I look at everything. Even the things that I thought that I needed at the time. And what was it? It was me being in a bad place, me being in a toxic relationship that honestly attracted someone with similar qualities into my life. And I'm just trying to learn from that. So I made sure that I'm never in a place where I attract that, where I have proper boundaries, where I am, in order to attract a 10, you got to be a freaking 10. You know what I mean? So I'm working very hard to be that every day because I never want to find myself in a position where I'm trying to negotiate with myself of why this person will or won't work. I need to be the best version of myself, and eventually the right things will line up in the universe for me,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think with that is, as I was doing everything in my power above and beyond, I kept saying I'm doing it for family. I'm doing it for my spouse. I'm doing it. You got to do it for you. And if you
Yep.
don't understand that you're doing it for you, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because at the end of the day, you can't put all your happiness in someone's hands. And I think that's where a big mistake I did was, if that individual wasn't happy, then I wasn't happy. Or if that person was happy, then I was happy. And when I really learned that was one of my issues that I had to cope with and go through different counseling sessions to push through that, after that, I feel good. And it's like you said, I know what I don't want. Like right now, I think we're about the same. We're ambitious. We go get stuff. We'll go getters. It's part of being a Marine. It's part of being a man. But we're running. We're runners. We're getting stuff done. And because of that, I wanted my significant other to be a runner. And maybe at the beginning she was a runner, but one thing I noticed is like I held her accountable for not being a runner. I was upset that she wasn't getting stuff done as quick as me or having goals like me. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Like, why are you not doing this? And it's like, that person's walking. Maybe that person's crawling. They're going at that pace. And the more I run, the more distance we got from each other. And I was like, man, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing the right thing in my eyes. I'm accomplishing stuff. But my significant other's in the dust. And I couldn't really put that together until afterwards. I was like, man, what if, I didn't hold them to that standard where, hey, you got to get stuff done. You got to do this. But I do know, like you said, moving forward, whoever's going to be here, right? If someone's going to stay in my life, friends, family, girlfriend, okay, you got to run with me. If not, then I need to understand how quick you can go. And we got to be in some type of distance between each other. It's like when you're rucking and you got the guy who's way faster than you, he's in front of you. I can't let him get more than a block in front of me. And that's how it should be with that relationship, because otherwise that distance, you guys come farther apart, and then that relationship's going nowhere. Yeah,
they should inspire you. They should motivate you. And we're not going to get into relationships right now. I mean, we kind of already did, but at the end of the day, like I know what I want, right? And I've gone on dates and they ask me what I'm looking for, and I lay it out, and they tell me like, you're looking for a unicorn, and I'm like, I just have to find one. I just have to find one. Like at the end of the day, I know what I want, and because I know what I want, I also know what I don't want. And this applies everywhere, with friendships, with business. I mean, people all the time, they reach out to me with the ideas and opportunities. At the end of the day, like I believe that being focused on what you're building has a lot more to do with removing the distractions and saying no a lot more than saying yes.
Yeah.
Right. So like I apply that everywhere in my life, with everything, with friendships, with relationships. Like I know what I'm building. I know what I have to do right now. And because I know what I have to do, I also know what I don't have to do. I know what I have to remove from my life. I know what doesn't have place. It doesn't have a place in my life right now. And that's okay. Because I can do all those things, I can make a large amount of time for my kids, a large amount of time for myself, a large amount of time for my business, because I'm moving in one direction. And there's nothing wrong with that,
Sure.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, man.
Well, brother, listen, we're coming up on, we're on the hour here. I want to ask you I'd love to have you on again. I think that this is something we can definitely keep talking about. You're a good dude. I love talking to you. Typically I like to ask, like, if there was one piece of advice that you would give to someone that is maybe going through a divorce, maybe they're going through a separation, maybe they're leaving the military, I'll put it to you this way. Let's think of someone that right now is going through trials and tribulations, and they're going through it, and they're listening to this episode, and they want that one piece of advice that will get them to that next stepping stone, that next day. What would you tell them?
Yeah. If you're listening, I would tell you, without struggle, there is no progression. You got to go through the struggles. If you're going through it right now and you feel like tomorrow you don't know if you want to get out of bed, or you might not wake up tomorrow, just know that you got to go through these hard times. So when the good times come, you can appreciate them, and they will come. I had an old man tell me one day, it will get worse before it gets better. And it never made sense until I started going through the hardest times. And I was like, wow, he was completely right. And so that's it. Without the struggle, you're not going to progress, and everything will get better with time. That's really it.
I love that. That's wonderful. All right, brother. Where can people find you on socials? And drop the name of the podcast too.
Yeah, for sure. So the podcast name is Resilience on the Rocks Podcast. Due to some circumstances, I had to open up a second podcast account. If you type in Resilience on the Rocks Podcast, you're going to see one with 33 episodes and one with 2 episodes. The newer episodes are the one with 2 episodes currently. You can find us on, whether it's a Facebook page, Resilience on the Rocks page. Instagram is Resilience on the Rocks. TikTok, Resilience on the Rocks. Go ahead and add me on there. I'm on it. I respond to people. So if you got something you want to say to me, please, if you want to come on the show, say something. Because I feel like some people don't think that, oh, well, I'm just a nobody, I don't need to be on a show. No, I'd rather have a nobody and somebody big at the same time, because everyone has those stories. So that's where you can follow me. JP, once again, brother, thank you for this opportunity.
Of course, and I would love to be back on the show if you're open to that.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
I got time. Let's do it.
All right, love it. All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate you. We'll definitely have you back on, and thank you for all the freaking amazing value and knowledge that you shared and you dropped. Appreciate you, Stevie G.
For sure. Take it easy, brother.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Vet Rise podcast. If today's episode inspired you, made you think, or simply gave you hope, I have a small favor to ask. Share it with just one veteran or someone you think could benefit from my message. Your share could light a spark for them. You don't know who you might save. For more insights and to join our mission, follow my socials at JP, the Veteran Coach, and explore how we can rise together. Thank you for joining us, for being part of this journey, and for believing in the power of rising together. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep rising, and never forget that we are stronger together. My name is Juan Perez, and thank you for your time.